You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today. Your edge when investing.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. I hope everyone's having a great start to your day. We got BigBeat with us for the entire show today. And the big news, of course, is government shutdown. After 43 days, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history is officially over. President Trump signed the funding bill last night in the Oval Office. Let's set the table, Steve. Shutdown began October 1st, ran 43 days, and is now paused, not solved, right, with a bill that funds the government through the end of January. House vote was 222 to 209. 6 Democrats did cross the aisle. 2 Republicans voted against it. So what do we think here? Is this a sell the news or a buy the news event, Steve?
Release the Epstein files. Forget the rest of it. It's all the nuts, man. Come on, let's be honest. The shutdown was a silly shutdown. This was a government that said that they can, this is going to be the most efficient government in history. We're going to be really good at this. And when you have to actually govern, it's not easy. It's not easy to govern. It's not easy to run the world. It's not this thing where I can do it. Oh, well, I don't know I can do it. Right. Okay. That's a problem. And when you start to see it from this perspective, you realize that there's a lot more forces in play, meaning that there are things on the outside that they didn't want to do. Let's talk about that. If you want to get political about it, I am happy to do it. Look, Raul Garvelia from Arizona, a friend of mine, congressman, passed away. Adelita, his daughter, it took him forever to seat her. She's a nice lady, by the way. She's very smart. I like her a lot, by the way. I know her personally. I remember at a tune in during a shutdown during my time, and I had a nice beer with him, and I was like, "Hey, Raul, you guys are now in power. What do you do?" I was like, "I guess now we got to govern." Right? That means everything to me. You've got to govern, and governing does not mean just let's get another continuing resolution until we can't figure this out. They can't even balance a budget. This is a problem. I mean, you come into power saying you're going to balance a budget, everything's going to be great, hunky dory. You're going to be so sick of winning. I want to win once. How about one time in this last 8 months? Let's win once, 9 months, 10 months. We're now into the 11th month of this administration. Let's win one time. How about that? How about we could win one time? And I think you'll start to see the markets start to push a little bit higher here. But I think what you're seeing now is the markets are in confusion right now, Howard. That's what I think.
Yeah, you can't argue there. Of course, everybody's already spinning the story. Trump blames the Democrats for trying to extort the country over the ACA subsidies. Democrats say the Republicans held the economy hostage to block the ACA premium tax credits. The shutdown did not extend those boosted ACA credits. That's the powder keg we still have to worry about here. Without them, projections say millions could see premiums double or even triple, and over 2 million people could lose coverage in 2026 as it becomes unaffordable. So the headline for us is the government's open, but the healthcare fight is just beginning, and it's going to be an ugly one.
I mean, we talked about it, the K economy so much that it's at a point now where we just don't know what else to talk about, right? I mean, the K economy is getting worse and worse and worse, and eventually the people that aren't in the markets and they're struggling to pay their bills and grocery bills, they're going to rise up eventually. Marie Antoinette sitting there in his new gold ballroom is going to be in trouble at some point, right? I mean, these are the people he talked to at the beginning of his election, and they're not happy. This lowest approval rating, I think, in a modern history now with Trump. So we have a small problem here on our hands, and this will start to dip into the markets, I think.
Yeah, markets are moving to the downside now. Before I put this
Yeah.
together this morning, of course, Dow futures were flat to slightly red after breaking to an all-time high, but we now see a little bit of a drop to the downside here. The Qs are down about 60 basis points, SPY down about a half a percentage point here so far, and the VIX back up at 1819, Steve. Yesterday we saw a clear rotation, right? The Dow closed above 48K for the first time ever. That's the 17th record high of 2025. And we saw value sectors, healthcare, industrials, financial, and gold miners all
materials.
Yep. And tech and AI are darlings, mixed to weak. Some of the high multiple names like Palantir, Oracle, and Meta have been hit hard in recent sessions.
They have, yeah.
The latest investor survey shows bullishness down to about 31.6%. So sentiment is wobbling. It's the lowest in 2 months, and bears are jumping to roughly 49%. That's a big swing towards caution as the Dow is printing records. Option mania continues. A huge chunk of the trading volume is now short-dated options on small, unprofitable companies, especially the meme high volatility names. The SocGen notes that the top 20% of stocks by option activity now drive 70 to 75% of trading volume.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. I want to show a chart here, Howard, and I think one of the things that and I'll pull it up here if I can. There, hopefully you can see that. When we talk about the K economy, I think people don't always understand exactly what I mean by that. We talked about affordability, right, in this country, and this right here lays it all out. What's the average mortgage rate in the United States by state? And I think everybody thinks that. I think a lot of people think that the economy is equal, that every state is equal in the United States, and it's not. Banking is not equal in the United States. Where people live is not equal in the United States. California, average mortgage rate in California is 4.56%. The average in the highest right now is Nebraska and Oklahoma, and Kansas, Texas, Florida, and New York. And I think there's probably New Jersey and Connecticut, a little bit sprinkled in there too. Is why. Why is that? Why is the lowest in Idaho and the highest in New Jersey? Because they're trying to attract people to those states, right? Maybe they don't have the right policies, or it's cold, or whatever they have, those reasons, right? Or the banking's different. And in this situation, why is Hawaii 4.48%? Because the cost of living is very high there, right? Why is it 5.15% in Alaska? Because there's oil there, and you got and Minnesota and North Dakota and South Dakota 5.59%. Because you need to attract people to live there, right, in order to pump that oil out. So they have different reasons. And why am I bringing this up? Because the K economy is a problem. And when I look at the second thing I want to show you, the next chart that I had ready to go for you. There you go. This is a chart of aluminum. Okay. Aluminum is pretty much at the highs in history. All-in cost. That's what they call this. Is what they call U.S. Midwest Physical, or that's where they get a lot of that aluminum, right? Look at this chart. Why am I bringing up aluminum? Well, and we'll talk about copper too. Aluminum, copper, and mortgage rates. Why is this a big deal? Because if your mortgage rate, you're looking to buy a home that's already out there, or you're interested in producing a new home, building a new home. And if that's the case, you need aluminum, you need copper, you need all these things. So it's getting more expensive. So we have a lost generation. So what are they doing with that money? They're putting that money in the stock market, hoping to make money because they're not buying a home. That's why the stock market is up. I could not figure this out. Why are these people just gambling away their savings, trying to make good money? Because inflation's high, cost of living's high, aluminum prices. I mean, if you think about drinks, aluminum is in almost everything, right? These are the things that they're doing. And that's why you're seeing this gambling mentality, because they're not putting it into homes. They're putting it into rent, right? Rent is at an all-time high. It's extremely high as a percent of their GDP. It's at the highest in history. So these states are trying to attract you to come to live with them in their state, but they're not getting it because nobody wants to move because they have a 3% mortgage, right? So that's what's happening here. So if they're not moving, they're renting. All that money that they have is going straight into gambling, whether it's zero DTEs or betting on the next football game. That's what's happening. And I really couldn't put my finger around that. And that's the middle. That's not even everybody. That's literally, I don't know, is it a midlife crisis, Howard, for some people, or what's going on here? But we need to work on, and you had here blackout for data. We got to have better data to understand this. We just had Mary Daly just say 4 things that just drove me crazy this morning. First thing was, well, we don't really understand AI. We don't know if it's we know it makes you more productive, but is it game changing? She said that she doesn't really understand the economy right now. And she doesn't.
Yeah, if someone's supposed to understand the economy, it's supposed to be her, right?
Exactly. So we have a Fed that's lost, a generation of traders who are lost. So what do? Well, we're going to buy Fly because Fly's up 30% today or 20%, right? We're hoping and betting on the future because the future looks brighter than what we're living in today. That's what's happening right now. And guess what? In betting on that future, the tomorrow, they're not keeping it. Nobody's able to stay in it. Bitcoin got up to 1035, and then they couldn't hold it because people were nervous. 104. They couldn't hold it because they were nervous again.
It's not holding it again. You on crypto, you're just missing it. It's the perp. So it's just a matter of them running the market the same way zero DTEs are running the stock market in a lot of ways and moving the price. It's not necessarily spot volume that's moving the stock market, right? I just said there's no breadth. 70% of all trading volume is done in 20% of stocks. That tells you the difference. That's what it is. There isn't a breadth. There's
no breadth in the market, narrow. Right? So when there's no breadth in the market, it usually pretends to be a downside. And I get it that in the down markets, listen, in the down markets, the upside is always the biggest because there's a lot of shorts in there and they get squeezed and then they go down again, right?
And people want to FOMO in, so they do. So once it starts to move, they jump in without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, that whole thing this morning from a Fed Reserve Committee member is kind of scary, as you mentioned, because she basically said, I don't think AI is doing anything yet, maybe in 10 years.
She says that
every company is said how much that they're laying people off due to AI already. So that was pretty bad. Her views on the not understanding the economy again. It's one thing when Michael Burry says I'm getting out. It's another thing when the Fed Reserve says it. And we're going to get to we might as well skip ahead to that. So Steve, you become the biggest bear I know now because Michael Burry, you and Michael Litt now take the lead. Michael Burry said enough is enough. This market is so irrational. It is so confusing. He's out.
I read the letter. I had to read it 4 or 5 times because it's a short letter. If you want to post it up so everybody can see it, I think that's important. I read the letter several times. What's interesting, he actually put the guy's phone number out there, the guy that he wants everybody to go to. Before The Big Short, nobody knew who Michael Burry was, right? They didn't really understand him. And then, of course, Christian Bale played him in the movie The Big Short, and then I get it. So now he's popular. And he's actually a nice guy, by the way, if you don't know Michael Burry. He's actually a nice guy and very smart, but he doesn't always understand the markets at the right time. He's not good at timing it. Now, and neither am I, right? But Michael Litt told you also, hey, man, this is a rational market. I'm telling you it's an irrational market. Everybody's telling you it's an irrational market, and it's staying irrational. And that's okay because that's what the market does. But we just explained to you why the market's irrational. Because they're not spending their bigger earning money on buying homes. They're not spending money because they're buying groceries because they're outrageous. Aluminum prices are the highest ever. Hey, if you got a whole bunch of Coke cans in your backyard, go pick them up and take them to the aluminum because they'll love that today. But you're also seeing this what the problem of the markets right now is, I agree. Margin call was way bigger than the Bigger Short. The book of The Big Short's better than the margin call. But
Absolutely.
when you flip it around and you try to figure this out, and you try to understand it as a rational person, right? That it doesn't make sense. And when things don't make sense in my head, I go, okay, I got to figure out why it doesn't make sense. It drives me crazy until I figure it out. Michael Burry did that in 2006 and 7. And the Big Short, the movie, tells you a little bit of the outskirts of it. But in the book, he had his homework. And my friend for many, many decades, Michael Liu, we've had him on the show several times. We'll have him again in a few weeks. I've talked to him already. He wrote the paper for Front Point, which was the big money that came in and that started the process. And he wrote the paper, and it's a great paper if you ever get a chance to read it, from Front Point. Why? Guess what? It was 2 years early. 2 years early. All right. The market stayed irrational another year and a half after he wrote it, finished it up, put it out there.
I can't grab his actual letter, but here's what he wrote. Dear investors, with a heavy heart, I will liquidate the funds and return capital, but for a small audit tax holdback by the year end. My estimation of value in securities is not now and has not been for some time in sync with the markets. With heart-health thanks, but also with apologies. I wish you well in your future investments. I do suggest investors contact my associate PM, Phil Clifton, regarding his coming endeavors. He can be reached at, and they took out the phone number.
Yeah, Doc Spector now saying here, he's had a property for sale for over 100 days, no renters either. That's what I'm saying. People are staying. So if there's no movement, we got a problem. If people aren't, and you're watching, that's why I showed that chart. Maybe it might not have made sense. Makes sense now, doesn't it? Right? That why are some states lowering their rates to get people to go to those states? California does not have the best laws, and there's a lot of rules in California, right? A lot of high taxes, so they got to do something. They lower the rates. Okay, Texas, it's high because people are moving there because of the exchanges, oil, everything. We know there's reasons by it. They're still not moving around the country. They're sticking where they're at. I'm the same way. I kind of want to maybe buy a bigger home and live better or whatever. I want to move up. I don't feel like. Why? Because that's the reason, right? And here's why you're seeing. And renters aren't moving either. They're staying where they're at too because they feel like they got a good place where they're at. They're nervous. This job hugging thing is really for real. People don't want to lose their jobs, and they're going to anyway. And for Mary Daly, and I'll put the Dr. Becker says, and his properties in South Carolina. Yeah. And I'll tell you, Charleston's probably a hot market soon, I think. But I look, all of these things we're talking about, California folks have been flocking to Utah. Yeah. And people wonder why the stock market is playing the way that it is. It's exactly why, because they have nothing else to do with that little bit of money they have. So they're just going to put it in the markets, hoping it goes up and they can buy a better home down the road. They're waiting for the market to crash. But Michael Burry just said the market isn't going to crash. He got burnt out of it. It's irrational.
Yeah.
What's happening in the market? And I think I've got it. I think I've got a bigger picture understanding of why the market. I saw it for what it was, but I didn't understand it. And now I think I'm really beginning to understand the deeps behind it now.
Okay. Steve, we got to bring up one of your favorites here. Disney having a little bit of a rough day here today. What are you thinking there on their earnings?
I will tell you that their legacy is really hurting, meaning that their TV, the ABC, things like that, their streaming is crushing it. So they're making that move, but it's harder for them because of who they are. Look, at this point, I think this makes market cap of less than 180 billion now, I guess, with this sell-off here. 5% sell-off. So 10%. So that puts them at $192 billion market cap, roughly there at the opening here. But I wouldn't be shocked if Disney got bought out.
Really?
The market cap is still pretty small. The problem is who can do it, right, without getting into a monopoly. And that's a question mark, right? So honestly, if that's the case, I'm going to buy Disney down here today, probably, and put that in my portfolio for longer term here today.
Yeah, right at the 200-day MA, you can't argue there. From a technical side, they came in at an EPS adjusted at $1.11 versus $1.05. So they did beat on the bottom line. Top line revenue was a slight miss, and it was basically flat year over year. Operating income was down 5% year over year.
Yep.
Streaming, as you said, is the bright spot. Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus added 3.8 million Disney Plus subs in the quarter. They now have 131.6 million subs there. Combined Disney and Hulu near 196 million. Their direct-to-consumer streaming revenue, the one that they care the most about, right, is up 8%. Operating income up 39% in that side there. And for the full year, Disney hit its streaming target with about 1.3 billion in streaming operating income, slightly above the company's own goal. And on the flip side, as you said, legacy TV is the drag. Entertainment unit revenue down 6%. Linear networks saw revenue fall about 16%. Operating income down sharply on lower ad revenue and cord cutting. ESPN is in this weird in-between spot because sports revenue was up about $3 to $4 billion, but operating income basically flat as costs spiked for their new ESPN app and their programming rights. So as you said, you are thinking you're a buyer maybe here, huh?
Yeah, I am buying. I'm buying starter position here here in the morning. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let it play a little bit, but I do have a couple of orders already in for this morning. I don't know what, we'll see. But when you look at the 52-week range, $80 to $125, 110 is pretty good price. So you've got a good opportunity here. Anything under 100 obviously is a buy, but 110. So are the theme parks thriving? 100%. And I'll tell you something else. The very merry Christmas or whatever Disney does. Good luck trying to get a hotel in Orlando. Good luck trying to.
That's everywhere. I will tell you that. And for all of them, the same thing at Kings Island here, the Six Flags, or Cedar Point now. There, you asked about parks there, Ida. Revenue was up 6% to around 8.8 to 8.77 billion. So while it is up, their theme parks are now such a small part of their business versus the streaming and the other side that it does. It's sort of a rounding number now versus the others. Their operating income was up 13%, 1.88 billion. And bookings are up roughly 3%, per capita spending up about 5%. It is an expensive visit, as Steve knows. There, if you strip off that logo and just look at the numbers, Steve, is Disney increasingly a theme park and streaming business that happens to own some linear TV, or is the legacy TV overhang still too big for you?
They know how to deal with that, and they will. I think a lot of it has to do with ESPN as well. I'll tell you this much for Disney, and here's something you need to think about. Disney is in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So the Dow being at all-time highs, they're still buying it. It might be one of those things where they have to buy it because it's in the S&P, it's in all those things, right? So be careful out there. I'm not thinking it's going to keep selling off, because they do have to buy it, right? If you're buying the S&P and you're buying the Dow Jones Industrial Average, all those, if you're buying indices, shall we say, be careful out there. That's one of the reasons why I am actually buying Disney. I think Disney will do quite well here in the future, but it's, the legacy TV, we all know cable is hurting, so it is what it is.
We got 4 minutes to the open here. Tick has gone fairly negative. Advanced declines moved to the lows of the morning, down about negative 783. Qs are down 54 basis points, so they have come off of the lows. Same thing. S&P is now down 40 basis points. It was down a little bit more earlier.
Believe this, White House advisor Hassett on the economy. He will be making recommendations to President Trump on what? On housing in the next few weeks. Look, folks, what we're talking about here is the future. I mean, we're not talking about the past. So when other places that they're streaming here and we're talking about markets, this is why we're different. We know what's really going on in the government. We really know. Howard and I have lived it. we're not just traders. We've been in those positions. We understand what they're thinking, right? That's what makes it better for Quasar markets. And I understand this. Haas is right. We're talking about the very, very things that they need to talk about. So, hey, so get ready for the housing stocks. See?
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
makes it different.
Okay, let's get into the movers and shakers this morning. We're going to start with one of my long-term holdings that finally paid off. Fly up about 25.07% now. I did buy it when it dipped down here a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it. So happy with where it's at now. Gets me back into profit, not huge, but this is a play for way down the road, Steve. They do have revenue though, 30 million in revenue now, up 37% year over year. They have profit, gross profit at 8.5 million. So their profit is growing. Cost management is improving at the product level, but they still have a loss. It's expensive to put those things into space. They lost $62 million last year. And that net loss is heavily driven by warrant liability and market-to-market and debt extinguishing. At the same time, the story side is strong. They're the only commercial player to have pulled off a fully successful moon landing with its Blue Ghost lander, and has a plan for annual lunar missions that have already been booked by the DoD. Their Elytra spacecraft is designed for on-orbit servicing, already contracted for a response mission with the DoD, and they've got a $1.3 billion backlog, Steve, with customers like NASA, Lockheed, Northrop. So there's real demand and visibility here. They're going to, this is Fly, which is Firefly, expanding launch pads, Vandenberg, Virginia, Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, and its range in Sweden. So leaving the U.S. to do it. Yeah, Steve, it's a legit backlog now, and technology story changed to a huge burn rate. You think they've got the wherewithal to get through it?
2 months ago, I talked about Fly. This was the one you asked me about space. There's a lot of them out there. Fly was the one that I liked the most because I really like what they're doing. They have a smaller products out there, and I like that. So I did like this company then. It took a couple swings at it. I understand that, but they have an interesting backlog here. Because here's what's interesting to me. Let me pull up the website for. Okay, the market's open, by the way. Let's do that first.
Market is open. It's down about 500 on the tick to start off. Advanced decline has shot down to negative 2,000 here. Q's first move is fairly muted. We're still 54 basis points to the downside. SPY is moving to the downside here. The Dow Jones opens up at 48,184. Its first move is up, but off of a lower level. Bitcoin struggling to hold 1025 here. Gold back above 4,200. Silver, Steve, for you back above 53.
Hey.
And copper above 31.85 here. So everything on the metals market moving in the right direction.
All right. So we're seeing a 108.02 is the bottom there of Disney. There could be some buyers now stepping in here. Let's see what we got here. It's terrible, Phil. Yeah. Okay. I am now long Disney here, so we'll see what we get. But it could be
still in your meta from yesterday, or did you close that?
Oh, I closed it yesterday. It was too dangerous for me yesterday.
I am going to listen and stick with BigBeat's rule of Disney, which is 100 is where I'm setting my order. Yeah. Might not get there for me, but I listen to BigBeat when he talks, and that has always been your round number there. So I'm going to keep a little bit of an eye on it.
And it works almost every time. So
it has worked every time I've known you, and I've only known you 35 years. It's worked. So that's what I mean.
I am buying more Disney down here now. I think
nice little bounce there from that 107 low.
Yeah, I like this.
Here comes the buyers. Here come the buyers.
Yeah, I like this a lot, actually.
Mag 7 mostly in the red here. NVIDIA getting hit hard. I did see a new price target for 265, Steve. 265. That makes them like a $6 trillion company, I think. Apple up 21 basis points here. They are moving to the upside here this morning. Microsoft fairly flat on the morning. Google getting hit pretty hard, down about 1.51%. We'll say one of the bigger takeaways from the Disney fight was it does seem like both Disney and Google are firmly entrenched on their sides, and no movement yet on, if you're a YouTube TV person, on getting that back. So was disappointed to see that. Meta seems to have found a little bit of a bottom here, moving up a little bit here today. Tesla down 1.64. I'm targeting that 400 level still. I do think if it gets back to 400, I become a buyer on that, because that would close the gap. 395, 396 closes the gap. I would definitely be interested at that point. Netflix down about 73 basis points, coming off of the lows of the day. Tick is moving back a little bit towards neutral. Advanced decline is climbing back up a little bit from those lows of the morning. We do see the Qs, SPY, Dow all to the downside. VIX back at 1817 here. So again, up about 4% here. It's sort of a mid level for me. I don't really touch it in that 18. I buy it at 16, sell it at 20. What else do we have going on? WTI is still under 60, although it is up about 1.36% this morning. Taking a look at the early morning flyers here to see what is now still going on. Fly now up almost 30%. I will take some profit here probably on this run up at some point here today. CLBT, Celebrite, I was going to get into them, up about 15.59 here, Steve, on strong Q3 revenue, up 18% year over year. Their subscription revenue is up 21%. Celebrite, I know it sounds like a weight loss drug. It is a digital intelligence firm, so do keep that in mind. Their analyst backlog there, it shows that a median price target around 24 here, so trading at 18.53. Decent upside.
Okay, so a couple things. USDA says they're starting to post data delayed by the government shutdown, so they did have the data, they just didn't release it. Hassett says we could get the September jobs report as early as this week, so there are.
I will point out, Steve, the reason USDA has its data is they've been using blockchain, as you know, with Frank Yanis.
I know, yeah.
So that data is built in, and they are permanently, you know what I mean, is it's easier for them because they do use blockchain data. So, looking at the other movers here this morning, ONDS, Ondas holding up about 16% here this morning. This one's a little bit interesting for the rail and autonomous system angle. Their revenue was up 10.1 million, up from the same period last year by about 30%. Gross profit of 2.6 million. They're upgrading their legacy wide area networks for mission critical IoT, especially the North American freight rail, using their FullMax platform. So Steve, Ondas actually doing things in the way of not only drones and the other things we think about for them, but I was very interested to see this, the fact that they are trying to modernize our rail systems, which we know are so important. You talk about the rail system as being the way everything moves.
Hold on, with Hassett speaking like that, we are seeing a massive sell-off in the dollar. The Dixie here, 99.20 now, 8 cents there. Woof. The Dow just getting smacked here. Qs are getting smacked on the back of Hassett speaking. So,
do you think it's Hassett or it's just sell the news? I think it's just sell the news.
Yeah, it could be.
You know what I mean? Is that's, well, Hassett, I don't think he, you know, I don't know. I mean, it could be for sure. He isn't helping. Let's put it that way. He for sure is not helping. But
Nvidia down 2.6% now.
Yeah, Ron, I would be careful in healthcare for the next couple of weeks because there is going to be, you know, I am a long-term UNH holder. I will continue to hold it through this. But let's face it, the war goes to healthcare. So you're going to get a lot of data, a lot of talking points, a lot of tweet analysis across that. Steve's not happy with the way the market. I did say it was weak. It looked weak on my watch list to my students this morning. I am looking for a drop on Bitcoin back.
Yeah, dollar still getting slaughtered here.
It's sell the news. The market held up with no data. Now data is going to start. It's going to scare the
Yeah,
hell
but
out of
the dollar, the Dixie now getting slaughtered here.
Yeah, a little bit 99.19. Yep, down from that 99.56, which was the close last week, which was the highs of yesterday. Yeah, definitely getting hit here. I would be looking. I don't know where I'd be looking. That's a Mr. Flanagan one, but personally,
And
just
they're talking about Disney now on CNBC. Of course they are.
yeah. I mean, it's big. Listen, the most is big news.
Yeah.
We do see a lot of changes here today. Financial sector still moving in the positive way so far. We see J.P. Morgan down slightly, but Wells Fargo is up. All Schwab up. Steve, you talked about it. You're moving to Japan. I don't know if your funds carry Mitsubishi and Sumitomo, but they are all been moving up nicely over the last few weeks.
We've talked about Japan.
As you know, I've been on this since Warren Buffett bought him years ago, and he continues to pile money, or he at least used to continue to pile money into them. Japanese trading houses are very different than what we think of here. They're not like brokerages; they are private equity more. So I do like them.
And they're very profitable too.
Zora, we got in at 102 yesterday. I guess you didn't get in with us. We got in at 102, sold at 104 on Bitcoin on our perp trade yesterday. So that was ours. Pretty good trade. We'll take with the perp, it was a 20% win. We'll take it for overnight.
All right. Look at Disney trying to pull back up here now. All right.
Yeah, 107 back at the 107 level. Got as low as 105.
But I think that the sellers are done now. We'll see.
It's just going to matter on the market. I mean, I think, again, I want to buy this dip. I'll give up a couple of dollars to watch and see if I can get to that one. I'm sort of probably looking at 110. I'll either buy at 110 or 100. You know what I mean? Is either show me that the upside's coming in a better way, or I'll wait for that level that I was looking at there personally. Tick has gone positive, so we are seeing that sell-off sort of start to go the other way. We're 10 minutes into the market here. Dow Jones is at the lows of the day, though, or really close to them. SPY, same thing, and the Qs, yeah, everything really at the lows of the day, quite honestly.
But it's had a good week. I mean, I can understand some profit taking, but look.
And it's more the speculators that thought that as soon as the government shutdown was over, everything was going to go up 20% because they don't understand markets. They just went to the exit.
The damage is done. I think that's part of the problem.
But that is the problem is that, again, like I said, you don't buy fly today. In fact, if you own fly like I do, you look to probably take some profits today.
Right.
I talked about it on crypto, right? We were taking money off of the alts and putting them back into Bitcoin because Bitcoin's going to move before the alts. We've just been talking about how all the trading's done in 20% of those stocks. Now, with some of those 20% have been beaten down pretty badly, right? Meta, Netflix, some of these, it might be time to rotate into them. We'll see what we get here today. Gold's holding nicely above 42.09, although that is even pulling back too. It's the other thing that's got me a little bit, Steve saying everything's pulling back. So it's one of those weird days where the news came out, the government shutdown came out, and rates are dropping, and gold is dropping, and Bitcoin is dropping, and equities are dropping.
The machines are confused.
Yeah, the exactly, and that's what it is. The algos, the different algos are all given the same answer, sell, for different reasons, so to speak, So we'll see what we get here, though, today. But I do expect at least the first couple of hours to be a little bit weak. And then I think we'll start to see some buyers come in this afternoon. That's what I'm looking for personally. Sectors of the S&P, pretty much a mixed bag here. We see energy is up 60 basis points. Consumer staples up slightly. Biggest loser is again technology.
Here, 107 held up on this last move, so
yeah, absolutely.
I think the shorts are about to cover here. Yeah, look at that. Look at that breakout. Come on, baby.
There you go.
Kind of what I figured. I figured that you've got a nice pullback on Disney. They still beat on the earnings, so the sell-off was a little too much. All right.
talked about it yesterday. I said I'm going to be patient on SoFi, down about 4.75% here. If it does get down towards my 29 area, I am looking at SoFi for a longer term hold. Some of the Bitcoin mining companies are starting to get a little interesting too, Steve. These are the areas where they start to be of value, like in Mara here, under 14. Probably just for a covered call play. Nice rebound back above 102 on Bitcoin. So that's a good little rebound there. Nice to see. Tick still negative, though. I'm not liking what I'm seeing there. Advanced decline back down to almost that 2,000. So like I said, I don't know. I'm not trusting any little buys by the dips yet. I got to see it.
What's interesting to me is core weave here.
So another one's interesting. Been taking a hit. CoreWeave and Core Scientific, who are really tied together. They have both been moving down. Same thing with CleanSpark. All three of those companies are very highly connected due to acquisitions and things there. The other one I'm looking at here, maybe as a buy the dip, IREN, the high flyer, right down at the 50-day MA, bottom of the linear regression here. Again, data centers are going to be needed. They're the ones that have all the contracts with all of the hyperscalers. So, yeah, down 8%. I definitely might look at that today. Bitcoin back below 102, like I said, weak. I am looking for it. Again, though, anything under 100 is a buy. Again, sort of like Disney and Bitcoin. The difference is about 99,000 or 90,900, right? But we are looking pretty strong here. There, Solana's been pretty weak today too, Steve. I know you like to buy the dip there.
I bought CoreWeave here.
Okay. I will tell you, if you get down towards that 147, 148, I know you like to buy the dip on Sol. I do like it in that area there. It starts to get interesting.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
I was watching the guy from the CEO, I think it was, of Verizon on CNBC. He didn't give me warm and cozy feelings at all today.
Oh, I like that pop in CoreWeave. That was nice.
Disney back down at 107, so it's still struggling a little bit here.
Yeah, but it's holding. It's holding.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Steve, the other name or the other sector that really is beaten up today, and I wanted to ask you a little bit before we end later. Quantum computers. You looking at any of these names? I mean, Rigetti down another 7% here, closing in on its 200-day MA.
Hey, this CoreWeave thing's moving here. 81.51 now. I got in at 79.57 here.
Nice. Are you looking at any of those names? Sound AI, Steve? Any of these names that have really gotten beaten up over the last several weeks?
No.
No.
I think people think I'm moving to Japan. Not moving to Japan. It's we've got business there for Quasar Market. So yeah. But I'll be there for a few months. 81.56 now on CoreWeave. How about that? 107.27 now on Disney. I'm liking these moves, Hondo.
Got to play out. These are still algos fighting it out. It's not far off of its lows, not far off of its highs, right in the middle of the day.
I think I'm going to take that profit on
negative 420 here. Advanced declines move down to 23.72 to the downside here. Dow Jones is down 22 basis points, but moving, like Steve said, off of the lows of the day. SPY still falling basically to lows of the day, 678. And Q's coming off of the lows, but not by much yet. RUT still falling also. Everything's trying to get a little bit
there on CoreWeave there for those of you who are playing along with me at home. Uh, 79.57 to 81.68. Disney's at 107.33. 107.40 now. 47.
Take a look at the early morning movers here. Fly still up 19%, but definitely some profit taking there. Celebrate up 23.04%. That is at the highs of the day. So that is one that's taking a move to the upside here. We talked about Ondas already. That is up 20%, still moving to the upside. Cisco had great earnings too, Steve. Up, coming down off of its highs, but up about 4.34%. Also noticed that Freshworks, who had earnings about a week ago and had good earnings, big insider buys there that you don't normally see too much of. Their CEO, Dennis Woodside, bought 176,000 shares, $2 million worth. And then CFO Tyler Sloat bought 171,000 shares for about $2 million there also. So insider buys of this size at the same time, and two most important people in the company. So you got to love that there.
You got to hold here a little bit on Disney. It's got to hold a little bit. Selling was a little rough on Disney. I think it's just too much on Disney. I think Disney's done quite well. So I don't. They're getting pounded over little things. I don't think so. I think that's just dumb. So, all right. Grayscale filing for an IPO.
I could see that. Grayscale, the company. Yeah. That would make sense. I mean, they've been making money for years. I mean, they were in big cash problems, but now they've come out of that side. Sold off a lot of their stuff.
Bitcoin back over 102.
Yeah, 102, 223. So nicely coming off of that bottom there, like I said, kind of like 101, 300 for scalps to the upside. Berkshire up a little over 1%. So Steve, as he's leaving, it's starting to move up. Nice. This could be a breakout on Berkshire. You don't usually see too many of those. Nice move to the upside here. And if it breaks through this little bit of resistance at 508, you've got some nice room to the upside all the way to like 520.
I mean, those guys have been running this show for a while. Warren hasn't really been Warren without Charlie, so understandable.
Yep. Disney broke back above 107, so good to see that. Google down 2.88% here, coming off of the lows of the day, but drop here by Google. Intel down about 2.75% here this morning. IBM moving up a little bit off of it, 313.70. And Tetra Tech moved well to the upside, up 11% here on their earnings. They had a slight beat on revenue, a bigger beat on EPS, but a move up by TTEK. Steve, did you see the news that the UFC is partnering with Polymarket?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? It did have TKO up nicely earlier. It's pulled back down a little bit.
I mean, it's just getting worse and worse, right?
It's interesting to listen to talk about it. Fan engagement is the
fan engagement. Yeah, it's more like
they call it. And
look, I don't have a problem with it. I every once in a great blue moon, a game I want to play with, and I'll have some fun with it.
What scared me is the way that they talked about it is they tried to frame it as, or the way that they see it being used would do nothing but give transaction fees to the platform and no money to anybody, in my opinion, because what they were saying is people would be changing. So you would trade it like you would a stock. So if you and I were fighting, And at the beginning, I throw a couple of jabs. People start betting on me. Then you hit me in the stomach and they go, oh, forget it. Now I sell it the other way. And I'm like, man, that just sounds like, watching Aaron Schurz try to scalp 100x Phoenix. It's going to be a losing proposition for those folks. So that's the thing that worried me, is the way they were trying to.
But there's a market out there for it, so people are going to do it. So,
Robinhood made it clear the prediction market has outperformed the crypto market for them, outperformed everything. It's the biggest kickoff they've ever had. Part of that came, the same day we had the news today.
What happens in a year, 2 years from now, when housing markets do start to come back, or they will, and they need money, and they'll be broke. Oh, well, we don't have any money now. Well, okay, guess what? Well, that's what the problem is. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Like I said, it was, for me, it was more the takeaway that was interesting was that they think people are they were basically advising people to sort of trade it, and I'm like, man, don't trade that stuff. It's bad enough to think that somebody's going to win and put your money on that. Never mind chasing it during the actual fight or game. I mean, I guess they just took
Bitcoin's at 1034 here. There's a big run here on Bitcoin.
Yeah, nice little spike. There you go. That's some liquidations.
Yeah, somebody got burnt.
Problem is, though, Steve, is, again, yesterday we did exactly what I said. It was a round trip yesterday, right? And 142 millions in longs have been liquidated, 32 millions in shorts. So while we keep hoping that is the case, I mean, we don't hope anybody gets liquidated, but, to see the
market
move up. I do. I don't want anybody to lose money. I don't care. So
if you're stupid enough to do those,
not
listen to us, then you deserve it. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean about it. It just is what it is. Right? If you're going to bet and you're going to gamble like this, then lose. You need to look. I did it 35 years ago, and I lost big then, and I learned not to do that anymore. And they're not. Some of these guys. Look, the stove is hot. Don't touch the stove. Oh, you burnt your hand off? Oh, sorry. Okay, guess what? Now you won't do it again. Maybe they do.
Yeah. And I'd be shorting this if we were
Eli
in the room.
Lilly, that I've been talking about for almost 4 months, just now hit another all-time high now. Eli Lilly.
Nice. There you go.
Disney's really struggling at 107 here. Let's see if we can get it back above it again. Oh, they're talking about it on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's off it now. Chips in general getting hit pretty hard today. Broadband down about 3.4%. Nvidia down 3% on an upgrade news. ARM down almost 4%. Intel, I guess we don't need chips today. Marvell down 3.48%. Meta up a 0.5 percentage point today. Nice little recovery there. Up 70 basis points now. Apple up about 54 basis points. Netflix up 33 basis points. Meta getting a little bit of a push so far. Disney 106.93 here. Take slightly negative, advanced decline, sort of bottomed out right around that 2000 level. DXY, the Dixie, still falling to the lows of the day, 99.20, so that isn't helping matters. Dow Jones down 30 basis points and close to the low of the day. The S&P is recovering, trying to challenge VWAP here, trying to break back up. And
That's
hold
what I mean.
over
Like if you're buying
79.
Disney and all those things, it's also in the S&P. It's all in all those things, right? So yeah. So
Q's
be
also
careful.
bouncing off lows of the day, trying to regain 616 here.
Right.
So it looks like the algos might be done fighting it out. You might be starting to see our first move to the upside. I think it's going to take a little bit more to get us there. Bitcoin trying to hold 103, but struggling there. Ten-year is up back above 4.1. We had gotten below that yesterday, back down as low as 4.06.
Quarterly dropping here a little bit. If we can get back down there, might take a swing at that again. That was a fun trip there.
There you go. Meta now up 1% here. I did buy some last night. It's looking nice.
Yeah, I made a mistake on that one. That one hurt me a little bit.
615.50.
I do make mistakes. 1 out of every 52 trades, I do make mistakes.
Yeah, we all do. Absolutely. I got in right around 610 for me. So that's in my long-term holding. Do see banks falling down today. JP Morgan down about 1% now. Goldman Sachs down 1.13. So we are seeing a little bit of a pullback after they set all-time highs yesterday. The one that keeps running is Celebrate, now up 24.51%. Same thing, Ondis. Those are the two runners so far today. Definitely both of them moving still to the upside. Cisco been sliding down, but now trying to recover. So it looks like, as Steve mentioned, some of these that we're seeing the sell-off now do look to be recovering a little bit. Disney back at 106.75, and now trading basically sideways for the last 20, 30 minutes. TKO, UFC's parent company, now up 2%. Moving to the upside here. Tick still negative. Advanced decline now down at the lows of the day. So we are still sliding here, Steve. We are not seeing that buy the dip, mentality yet so far. I do think it will start to come out later today. Although I do think people are going to have some exhaustion of listening now to our politicians fight over healthcare. I know it gets a little old, a little quick there. Steve, it is 10 o'clock here. What are your final words for the day? What do you think we got going on?
Still sideways. Still sideways.
Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us here at Quasar Markets. BigBeat, you're here tomorrow?
I am here tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. I love it. So we will both be back here tomorrow. Mr. Flanagan won't be here to join us. I will try to hit him up for a couple of updates, though, let you know what he's feeling about the markets there. He is traveling to ski country, going to go sip some apple cider in the Catskills. Everybody, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you early tomorrow morning.